right, that was part 1 of CopyPaste for December 2021. We now move into the second part of the show, and that's going to be an interview with Ayaz Hussein. He is a social media coach, social media consultant, who through his company All About Helping helps independent artists, independent producers, DJs, remixers, rappers, singers with their social medias. So without further ado, Ayaz, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. Artists, producers, remixers, DJs, anybody who puts themselves out into the world has a certain narrative about themselves in their own mind, who they are, but at the same time they don't know what to post because they don't know what their voice is for this platform. So I imagine it can be hard to make progress if you are not willing to open yourself up and change your narrative or adopt new ways to find a new voice. But is there something that has always given that sparkle in the eye? Some insight or some principle where you say, look at it this way, and then people are like, oh, okay, I get it. That's a paradigm shift, and now I'm on board.
Analogy I often use is think of your content like the best show on Netflix. So as you go through each episode, you want to know more about the backstory of the character. You don't want the character to walk in, do an activity and then leave. As you think of Netflix, you don't want an episode to end and there's no cliffhanger or update of when the next episode is going to be. You don't want to have to wait 6 to 12 months for the next episode. You want a hint that holds your interest long enough that they then say the next episode happens next week. They recap at the beginning of the episode, then they dive into the evolution of the story. So I think artists who have not yet figured out that it's not all about promotion. That nobody would shop on a website that only advertised but never served value. That you simply wouldn't buy that product. You would unfollow that product everywhere you go because all they're doing is advertising. And I would treat a musician's social media the same. You have to give before you ask, and you have to involve the audience to want to release music for them. And it's kind of ironic. You're not, as much as the art is your own, you're not releasing it for yourself because you have it in the studio. You're giving it to the fans, and you have to present and package up the campaign in that way as well.
I think give before you ask is a key thing in here, key statement. One thing that I picked up from watching your content was, and that was actually a game changer for me, and that was moving from promoting to documenting. That was a key principle. Can you explain what was behind or what's behind that?
Sure. So I think if you're promoting, you're saying, I need to make a video about this. I need to make a video about that. I need to design a campaign for that. But actually, whilst you are working on designing the campaign, you're already having an opportunity where content could be created. One just hasn't set up a camera to capture that moment. So for example, if I am designing a content calendar for an artist that I am commissioned to do, I'll quite often just leave a tripod in the corner of the room, very candidly time-lapsing the whole thing. I would quite intentionally turn on these studio lights just for a bit of ambiance, and I would create content while I am creating content. If you were, you're going to a music video shoot, as an example, there is such opportunity to film a behind-the-scenes documentary of the music video shoot, but so many artists forget to do that or don't consciously think about it. If you are making a remix flip, you could quite easily do a tutorial of what you are doing and talking through the process as you're making that flip. And it then becomes a supplementary piece of content 1 week later, 3 days later, whatever, how I made this. And I think there's the paradigm shift that you said is, you can really create content while creating content.
As I said before, it's been great for me, and doing like time-lapse recordings of how I record this show. In this case, I've failed because I have not, as of now, set up a tripod to record us talking. But that was a key thing for me, and it takes a lot of pressure off the content you create, because if you only create content to promote, then you think, this has to be 100% on point. If this post I put out with my album artwork doesn't perform well, then I failed. And that puts me off social media for a while. You know?
May I jump in just there, please?
Yeah, of course.
On that last point, you said if the album artwork / announcement flops, I don't use the phrase "it failed." I say I failed. I take accountability that my caption wasn't good enough, my image wasn't compelling enough, my time of day and execution wasn't strong enough. So I think I had a consultation with an artist yesterday, and I said, please, the one thing I don't want you to do on your song release day is say, guys, my brand new single is out now, link in bio. I said that would be a catastrophe. If you position differently and say, you pivot to say, I put all my heart and energy into recording this song. Like, the lyrics have changed my life. This music video with my best friends was one of the highlights of my year. It would mean the world if you listen to this and watch the music video. Who wants to check it out? Which music video would you listen to? I know for myself, it would be the latter, which has energy, heartfelt emotion in there, rather than an instruction.
The first copy or caption you mentioned is a convert. It has the objective to convert you to click the link in the bio, not to engage you to want to click the link in the bio. So I think that's a key difference. Is that something you also help people with? So you do the whole thing from image, like strategy, planning, image, caption. You do everything, correct?
Oh yes, yep. So I do that for a lot of different artists. I try and pick artists who are in the 7 to 20k bracket for this type of service. I think an artist who's smaller than 7 don't quite need this foundational exercise. They need to actually get their frequency of releases higher and get their execution a lot better. Having a campaign when you're at 30 likes per post isn't going to move the needle. But when you're at 300 likes per post, this type of thing can fundamentally increase your streaming numbers by about 2 to 3 times bigger, just by executing better.
What does it mean to execute better?
Just having a plan, really. So rather than on the day your song comes out going, damn, what am I posting? Rather than on the day that your music video drops is you do an Instagram story and a half meaningful post about it. I mean having a really well thought out plan of what you're doing, what time of the day you're posting, which image or video you're utilizing, and thinking of that much further behind in the past, rather than panicking on the day, I think I'll post a selfie because I haven't posted in a while. I think execution comes down to knowing what you want to do ahead of time.
Is a song campaign built on paid media, so sponsored posts, paying for sponsored posts? Or can you, if let's say you are not in the 7 to 20k bracket, that being followers, can you build a campaign based on organic reach? Is it possible?
Okay, there's two halves to that question for sure. I'd say on organic reach, absolutely. You can captivate the minds of your audience. Someone like Chance the Rapper, J. Cole. The minute they drop content, you stop what you're doing and go and listen to them because you're that deeply loyal to their artistry. Whereas paid media is great to get cold audiences who have never heard your songs over to listen to your song. But it's like hearing something on the radio. Just because you hear it once doesn't mean you'll ever save it to your library and go back to it again. It's when the two meet together that there's power, that you are driving organic traffic, you send them over to listen one time to the song. Then you drive even more excitement so they come back again. Then you remarket them with the paid media to listen again. And then you give them an incentive saying something like, I'm picking 100 people to come to a VIP experience. You're one of the top 3% of my listeners. So I'm inviting you to a raffle draw for the ticket. Do you want to enter the raffle? Something along these lines is taking someone from never heard to I'm interested to, oh my God, I need to be there. You're bringing them down this funnel of interest until they absolutely want to give you their email address. They want to connect with you on social media. They want to be the first to know when this secret fan experience is happening so that they can be there.
I mean, that sounds like a perfect plan. And I guess, and that leads us to my next topic, it's a template. This may be something that could work for you, but it isn't necessarily. So it's always very individual. You know, I guess you need to adapt it to every single artist. And if anybody who is a independent artist, he was just maybe in the, you've mentioned before, being 3 steps, maybe in the 0 to 10 category, this may sound very overwhelming to you. And I guess, is that something you've noticed, that people go from being very overwhelmed to being very relieved when you explain it to them in those very clear terms as you did right now to me?
Of course, yeah. So I think that's a hugely important point. I think there's a lot of anxiety that holds a young musician back before they reach a certain platform, because they're worried if consumers are even like the music in the first place. And I don't think hype is something that is quantifiable. It's not as though you have it like a light switch, it's on or off. I think hype is gradually built, and anybody can make excitement out of anything. You could get excited about a pair of socks that you choose to wear that day. You could get excited that your plant has grown a flower that day. Like, as long as one can channels the energy into their own social media, you can artificially create a hype out of anything. It's just whether you are afraid to do it or not. So then coming back to your point is that the reason I build these templates is they're digital products. So they're built in Canva and they're available on my website, allabouthelping.co.uk. And if an artist didn't know how to make a pre-save post, they didn't know graphic design, they didn't know what the right messaging would be, I've built over 50 to 100 different images that the artist can just plug in their artwork of the song. They can retype the text, put in their logo, swap all the colors to their respective green, yellow, blue, pink, orange, black, whatever. They can download the image and post it within moments. And the reason I build these is so that there's no excuse. I don't want any artist to say, but I couldn't design a post, but I didn't have the strategy of what to do. These resources are there. Mine is not the only music marketing channel. There are hundreds of music marketing YouTube channels, Instagram channels. And if an artist is hungry enough, they can sit down, soak all that great info in for free, download a couple of what we call freemium, so they're small charge attached to them, resources, and you can be on your way. You can literally build a campaign off of my 14-day calendar, my Facebook ads masterclass, and my 2022 release calendar. Those 3 things could literally give you everything you need to plan from December 21 till December 22, every song you're releasing, what posts you're putting out, and how to increase their performance. Like, those 3 resources alone can do that for you.
That's awesome. And I mean, it goes into the idea of remixing itself, where you give people some source material and they have the opportunity to take that as a jumping off point and transform it into something that fits their own taste, their own needs, and make it into their own. And I guess much of the process, and that's I guess anybody who's tried to like promote anything they've done themselves in anything creative on social media, it's a lot of trial and error, because it takes a process to kind of learn what works for you and what doesn't work. Some posts maybe you kind of learn because that's something that connects to you saying, as a brand, you know, branding, building brands, you may not see yourself as a brand, as an artist instinctually, you know, but you kind of have to. And then building yourself as a brand, learning how to build yourself as a brand can be a very painful process. And do you have maybe some like quick mindset tips, or you can also do it in reverse. What are the biggest mindset mistakes people make when they try to build themselves as a brand?
Yeah, I think I actually want to answer that by piggybacking off something else you just said, is that producers who make remixes specifically, which is the kind of the core audience of this show, I think they're so sometimes worried about the licensing aspect. I can't put this on Spotify. If I put this on SoundCloud, I might get a strike. I can't sell this on Bandcamp. So I think there's some way to question, why are you making that particular remix when there's so much red tape around Drake vocals, for example? We know that's a big strike waiting to happen. But I think there's also, can you ask the audience what they want to see? So if you, just because you want to remix Drake, has anyone said they want Drake? Or you're trying to, this is what I call trend jumping, where you're trying to piggyback off something to try and get numbers. Whereas if you said something like, Paul Mond is a great example. I love Paul Mond flips. If you say, I want to make some Latin-inspired music over hip-hop songs, you guys vote on which acapellas I should use. So then someone suggests Future, someone suggests Jay-Z, someone suggests Linkin Park. And you go, oh, Linkin Park, that one could be the most creative. You're thereby using an Instagram sticker, such as a question, a poll, or a quiz. You are then getting audience participation and feedback into defining your future content strategy. So I think that would be the first one, is asking the audience. The second mindset thing I would say is, don't let the numbers hold you back. So if you create a particular piece of content, you might be looking at 10 likes, or you might be looking at 1,000 reach. People are always watching your content, but not necessarily engaging. Take the accountability to make it more exciting to hook people to come and stay. So by not fixating on the numbers, you'll put the best quality out there. And when you focus on quality and patience, you can then try a lot of creative avenues. So if Celine Dion was on drill, right? You could say something like, if A$AP Rocky was in Baile Funk. And you can position something that people know what they're expecting, but they really don't know what they're expecting when they finally hear it. And I think those different ways are much more powerful than saying, my remix of A$AP Rocky is out now. Right? It's boring. Whereas if you position from a place of excitement, it works. So that's the second tip. And then the third tip I would say is, don't ever be afraid to post. So I know a lot of artists who think, well, if I post too much, people will unfollow me. I'm like, good that they're going to unfollow you, because that's not the target audience that you want. Right? If you post more, you will then create content that your audience want to see. And as you test and learn, yes, you will often get it wrong. There are times where I'll post a quote or a video of marketing advice that I think is going to do amazing, and it sucks. And then there's times I post something that I didn't think really had much legs, and it will perform 4 or 5 times better than I ever imagined. So the key there is not letting your worry of the audience cripple your action. I even put a post up yesterday. It's about what you think people think, not what they actually said. So those will be my 3, bro. The 3 mindset mistakes.
Those are perfect. I think we might have to take those as extractions and put those up as like a slideshow post after this interview goes live. So I think we have lots of bits and nuggets of wisdom on marketing your own music on social media. Lots of actionable advice, lots of mindset topics. I guess lots of stuff was very top level. If you are listening right now and are a independent producer, remixer, DJ, any creative who wants to get their stuff out on social media, you can find Ayaz on Instagram at social media Ayaz. That's all small all together, social media Ayaz. Or visit his website allabouthelping.co.uk and find more actionable tips on marketing specific to music in the social media world. Ayaz, it was a pleasure. Thank you for being on the show and sharing all these insights, being so open. It was a pleasure.
Huge blessings to you, bro. I can't thank you enough for your time, the opportunity, and your positioning of all the questions you've done, your research, man. It means the absolute world to be here on your platform. Big up to CopyPaste Radio every time, man.